Good morning. We will now call the Public Employees Committee to order. March 3rd, 2022. Madam Clerk, please call roll. Sir Clerk, please call roll.
You're muted, Lamont.
You're on mute, Lamont.
Better?
There we go.
There you go.
Okay, great, thanks. Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Davis.
Present.
Alderman Cone.
Present.
Alderman Kotar. Alderwoman Spencer.
Present.
Alderman Oldenburg.
Present.
Alderman Stevens.
Here.
Chairman Bosley.
Present. Thank you.
6 present. You have a
Thank
quorum.
you. Do we have minutes to approve from the previous meeting?
February the 22nd.
All right. I will recommend we approve the minutes for February 22nd, 2022.
Second.
Sir Clerk, please call roll.
Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Davis.
Aye.
Alderman Cone. Alderman Kotar. Alderwoman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg. Alderman Stevens.
Aye.
Chairman Bosley.
Aye.
Alderman Cone.
I said aye.
Okay, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Lamont.
Thank you. 5 aye votes.
Thank you. We stand with the minutes approved for February 22nd. Is that what that was? 22nd?
Yes, February the 22nd.
Okay,
yes.
22nd. Thank you, 2022. We'll go ahead and hear Alderman Vaccaro's resolution, Board Bill 189. Not Board Bill, I'm sorry, Resolution 189, and put that before us. Looks like we don't have any speakers for the day. Mr. Alderman Vaccaro, would you like to have the resolution read?
Yeah, Mr. Clerk, if you could read the resolution, that would be nice. It's a pretty simple resolution.
Okay, Resolution 189, introduced by Alderman Joseph Vaccaro. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Aldermen hereby calls upon Mayor Tishaura O to promptly begin fair negotiations with city workers and their union representatives.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
State your point of order.
I'm not sure if anyone else is having the same difficulty, but I'm having difficulty hearing the clerk.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Lamont.
Is anybody else having difficulty hearing? I can hear him fine. Anybody else?
I can reread it again. It's no problem.
No, definitely. Just wanted to see if maybe there's a signal problem, if anybody else was having that same issue.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, it is a little bit difficult to hear.
Gotcha.
Me.
Lamont, can you maybe scoot a little bit closer or turn your microphone up if possible?
Okay.
Is it choppy? Like maybe the signal is cutting in and out?
It's just a more.
It's just faint.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not choppy. It's just faint.
I'm using something
Okay.
different, so bear with me. I'm sorry. Okay, now therefore, is that much better?
A little. It's. I can hear.
Okay.
Thanks, Lamont.
You're welcome. Be it resolved that the Board of Aldermen hereby calls upon Mayor Tishaura O. to promptly begin fair negotiations with city workers and their union representatives.
All right. Did everybody hear that?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Vaccaro, you're recognized on resolution 189. Alderman Vaccaro. We we can't hear you, Alderman. Can anybody else hear Alderman Vaccaro?
No.
Nope. No, we can't hear you, sir.
No, we can't hear you.
We can see your lips moving. We know you're trying to say something. Still can't hear you. I guess maybe try logging out and logging right back in. We're not even hearing static from your microphone. So Alderman Vaccaro left. He'll log right back in. And I guess in the meantime, while he's logging in, does anybody have anything they'd like to say in particular about that? All right.
Mr. Chair, while we wait, if you so agree, I'd like to take an opportunity to thank our public employees, since we're holding this space and we need a bit of a filler. Civil service or any public facing job, be it library, art museum, or working for City Hall, is difficult. So I'd like to take a moment to any civil servant or any employee at City Hall who needs a little pick me up and say thank you. Thank you for sticking through us with the pandemic. Thank you for your work. And I see Alderman Vaccaro is back, so I will yield back, Mr. Chair.
Can you hear me now?
We can. Thank you for that, Alderman
Oh,
Stephens.
good. Well, thank you, Lisa, who came in, who helped me. So I had received a call from some of the union representatives that represent members, workers, whether it's electricians or carpenters or painters or plumbers. And what they said is that the negotiations were supposed to start at the first of the year, and that every attempt that they've made to try to get a hold of either the mayor's office or whoever's running personnel now has gotten any return calls. And to be honest with you too, the other problem is, when we get the budget, we have literally no time to do anything with it. If these numbers aren't in, it's going to also be hard on us, because they always tend to get this to us, with no time to spare. So this resolution, and again, I was hoping some of the people that wanted to do this would be here, but it's like I said, it's a simple resolution. It's just encouraging the mayor and her office to talk to whoever, so they start responding to the different city workers about their pay. And that's about it. It's not that exciting.
Understood. Just got a call coming in. Sorry about that. If they call back, I'll just press decline. I don't know if my video cuts out when people call in, but I get a lot of those frequently, so I just be declining. But well, thank you. Do we have any questions from the committee members? Anybody?
Yes.
I guess we'll go. Okay. So whoever would like to start off, just raise your hand. All right, Alderman Stephens.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Alderman from the 23rd, for being here. Would the Alderman from the 23rd yield for a quick question?
Will you yield for question, Alderman from the 23rd?
Yes, absolutely.
Which
All right.
now strikes me as being perhaps a little too formal. So I appreciate you
It's the
meandering
rule.
through with me. So Alderman Vaccaro, I do support this resolution. Communication, especially in government, is key. But I just wanted to ask, because I have had a few unions reach out to me, I was wondering which unions you had spoken with, or who had.
Well, actually, one of the ones that we're all familiar with is the STL people, the camera people from here. Mike Prendergast from Local 4 reached out to me, and the other ones were, and I'm not familiar because it was they called me, and I sent them the wording, told them they should join so they could explain. But the easiest one for me to remember was Mike Prendergast from Local 4, who represents STL people. And I guess there's an STL person on this with us, and maybe they can explain too. But I know I see Alderwoman Davis going, "No, you can't do that." But theirs is also one of the contracts in the pay negotiations that are not happening right now. That and what I was told from their, from Mike Prendergast, who's the head of Local 4, is it even though they try to call anybody, it's falling on deaf ears. And so I know this resolutions don't do a lot, but maybe it'll at least call the attention to the problem, and maybe the mayor will step up and deal with some of this. I know the firefighters now have a lawsuit over, personnel stuff too. So I don't know how that blends in with this. I think they're different. These are the employees that, basically carpenters, painters, electricians, plumbers, those employees from here.
Okay.
So that helps.
Oh, yes. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I spoke with Ask Me myself, or rather they spoke with me. They came to me because I come from the field that they represent, cultural workers. So I do wonder if I can pose additionally, if anyone at the Board of Aldermen, so our legislative branch of government, has a relative that is a civil servant or works with City Hall, I'm curious as to whether or not that is a conflict of interest. And I'm not sure that I'm asking you to answer right now.
So I can tell you, I'll give you a quick story. So when I was doing back in the day, this goes back a little bit, when I was doing the pay ordinances for all the different offices, my wife worked for the Recorder of Deeds. And everybody gets that 1.5% raise. And, I didn't think anything about it. And so the post read, Vaccaro does bonus bill for wife. Which I think was unfair and ridiculous, but that's okay. So what I did was, and so everybody in City Hall, except for the Recorder of Deeds office, got the 1.5% pay raise. And at that time, Larry Arnowitz had to, basically do the pay ordinance. So when everybody else got the pay raise, the Recorder of Deeds office, because my wife worked there, lagged way behind. I don't think it was inappropriate, but I guess to avoid any conflicts, So I guess it's a potential, but they said, well, if my wife gets 1.5% raise, then I potentially benefit from that. So I guess if whoever you're talking about, lives with you, or you somehow get benefit from it, then I guess the better path on any pay bills are to steer away. And that's just, I kind of learned that. And again, I didn't see anything inappropriate, but that was the big headline. So,
Well, and Alderman, I appreciate you sharing that and giving your perspective, because I am confused. Well, not confused, but I do think it's an interesting question. On the one hand, it's a resolution, right? It's not a board bill. It's not a pay bill. So I appreciate you sort of walking with me as I sort of navigate that philosophical or ethical question. And I agree with this resolution. Anything to support.
Well, the police, and so the police and fire are not. They do their own thing. They're not in the same group. They negotiate their own. So if you're concerned about somebody that's in fire, police, they're on their own thing.
Okay, excellent. I appreciate it, Alderman. And with that, I yield back, Chairman. Thank you.
Alderman Bosley, we can't really hear you.
My phone was muted. I'm sorry. I muted when my dog was barking.
Oh,
Thank you, Alderman Stephens. Do we have any other questions from the committee members? Looks like Alderman Cohn's hand is up.
Yeah.
Alderman Cohn.
Thank you. Alderman Vaccaro, I'm curious, have you had any conversations with the mayor's office before introducing the resolution, or have you had conversations with the interim director of personnel, John Moten?
no, not at all.
Is there a reason why you haven't contacted them before introducing the resolution to address these concerns with them?
Well, to be honest with you, they're most of the time, and not all the time, but they're not always responsive to me. And so when I talked to Mike, again, and I figured this is just the best way to go. It's a stronger statement. But did I go to the mayor's office? No. No. The answer is no.
And I guess the other question I have as a follow-up to that is, why isn't this directed at the personnel director or department versus the mayor? The personnel director is the one that's responsible for negotiations. And I know that there's been some changes over there with, the retirement of Rick Frank. And then, we've had 2 interim appointments at this point. But those things do take time to kind of navigate. But I just, the director of personnel is still the one that handles the negotiation. So, the resolution seems that it should be directed towards.
I would hope that the mayor talks to that person. I have no, that's her appointees. I don't know. This seemed like the logical way for me. If you want to amend it, you can amend it. If you want to vote against it, you can vote against it. I just tried to do what I thought was right.
Yeah, I just think that if we're going to do it, it should be directed at the people who are responsible for handling this, which would be the interim director of personnel, not the mayor.
I'm fine. I don't see your picture, but anyway, I'm fine. We can amend it. I did what I thought was the right way to do it. And that doesn't necessarily mean it is the right way to do it. It's the way that I felt was the right way to do it. And
Okay.
If you want to amend it, we can. If you want to vote it down, we can. You can vote for it. You can vote against it. You can do your own. I just did what I thought was the best way to do it. And that, I did talk to our attorney here. And I don't even know if I asked him what the best way to do it, or if I just said, hey, just can you do this? That's where it's at. Nothing too exciting.
Okay. Well, I'm having some computer issues on my end. So the only way that I'd be able to amend is by doing this from my phone, and I'd rather not do that right now.
I'm fine if it's, if the vote is that they hold it, till a meeting next week until, it's just what, I'm not on this committee. It's whatever the committee's choice is. I did what I believed was the best way to do it. And
Okay. Would you be okay holding it until you and I can work together on an amendment then?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, as long as we can do it fairly soon. I don't want it to be weeks out. Obviously I want to make sure that, that they are, this is just to kind of catch their attention. It isn't something, it's just to catch their attention. I'm pretty sure that, like most resolutions that we send to the governor and everything, I'm sure they don't say, oh my gosh, Alderman Carroll sent us a resolution, or the Board of Aldermen sent one, and my gosh, we better step right up. We send these out. It's just a real strong letter asking or suggesting. It holds no a big thing. But I'm fine with whatever the committee's pleasure is.
Okay. I mean, my personal, thoughts on it would be to, hold it, and I could work with you on an amendment. I just I don't have the opportunity to do that right now with my limited technology availability.
I'm fine with whatever the committee wants to do. I just wouldn't want to see it sit here forever. That's all.
Okay. Thank you, Alderman.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have, let me see who we got next. Alderwoman Kara Spencer.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to say pretty much the same exact thing that Alderman Cohn brought up. I think it is the direct responsibility of the Director of Personnel, and recognizing that there's flex there. I can appreciate the Alderman from the 23rd directing it at the mayor, because of the blocks and the ambiguity there. But I think, to be most effective, we should direct it where the charter grants that authority, and it appears to be at the Director of Personnel. So I'm happy to help, but I think that probably would be the most effective way of kind of addressing this.
Well, maybe you want to do the amendment now. Maybe your computers.
I would be happy to make, and actually maybe our clerk could. I think what we could do, if we wanted to get this done today, we could call upon the Director of Personnel, because to begin negotiations. I think that all we would really have to do would be to amend the name of the resolution, and it looks like if we take the fourth whereas clause and strike from that the term "the mayor's administration," and then just direct that communication to the personnel department. Wait, let's see. So actually we'd have to amend that fourth whereas clause somewhat significantly. I could do that now if we want to do that and get it done, Alderman, or it would be
it's just up to the committee. I mean, it's really up to the committee. I mean, if you want to hold it and do something.
I could defer to that.
It's just what everybody wants to do. I just think it's important that we support our employees.
I agree that we should, I agree with you, Alderman from the 23rd, that we should be supporting our employees here. And I think it's important that we do it. And I think it's important that we make sure that we're doing it the most effective way possible. So if I will defer to the chair on this, I'd be happy to, while we sit here, make these amendments to the resolution.
That'd be fine too. So my thought is, for the general sentiments of the committee, if everybody's comfortable with this, because we all haven't had a chance to meet the interim director at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe, if Alderman Vaccaro, like I said, you don't have a problem holding it. If people don't have a problem meeting next week, we can meet next week and ask the interim director to come while we hear this resolution. If that is something that's comfortable for committee members, because we all have a chance.
That seems logical to me. I think, given that he's new in role and probably trying to deal with a whole bunch of other things on his plate at the same time. Granted, this is a very important issue, but since no one from the administration or personnel has been contacted, I would support that, Chairman. I think that that's the most logical approach. Would be to invite the interim personnel director, and then we can work with the Alderman from the 23rd on amendments to the resolution and the interim as well.
Okay. How do you feel about that, Alderman Vaccaro?
Oh no, I'm fine with that. I think I'm just trying to show support for our employees. I'm fine with whatever the committee wants to do. I would think we don't want to sit on it a whole long time. We want them to start negotiations. And again, it's going to be up against the budget, and anybody that sits in Ways and Means will tell you, we always get the budget with, well, look, you got to pass this. It's instead of giving us the 2 or 3 or 5 weeks or more that we need, we're lucky if we get the budget, 10 days before it has to pass. And they'll use these excuses all the time, saying, well, we're still working with, or we still haven't gotten this, and I understand, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, I understood. Like, I feel you 100%.
I'm on board.
looks like we have a question, a hand raised from Alderwoman Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. As we are moving forward to number one, speak with the new interim director of personnel and also amend the resolution, it's critical to understand that the resolution needs to go forward. It needs to go forward with all of the right information in it, and it needs to have the all effects in the resolution, because it's not just the personnel director, but we want to make sure that all who have influence in that realm, which is not us, but it would be the Civil Service Commission as well as the mayor, that these negotiations get started. Even if we don't resolve all of them, at least we can get to a point with the negotiations that they can agree to extend it as is, those contracts, and still continue. So the conversations need to happen, and they need to happen very fast. So I do appreciate the direction that you are going. You're making sure that all avenues are covered, but I would suggest that you put all three in the resolution. That is the personnel director, the Civil Service Commission, and the mayor's administration. Because even at this point, we don't even know who's been appointed to work with. There's always someone from the administration that works with the personnel director. So all those things we should have better information on so that our employees will feel comfortable that something is moving on their behalf. And we don't sit back and allow a message to be sent as though, well, just whenever we get to it, because that is not the case. And we don't have that kind of time. There are process and procedures in place with schedules that must be met. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Looks like Alderman Stephens, your hand's back up. Or is that from the?
It is, Mr. Chair. I've got a question for the for Alderman Vaccaro, if I can. I'd like to, as we approach sort of restructuring this and working on a committee substitute, which is excellent. Compromise is the name of the game. I was wondering if the Alderman from the 23rd would be amenable to adding a fifth whereas anywhere of his choosing, stating the Board of Aldermen support for unions and union representation, because I think that's necessary as well. And I think we have an opportunity to say, hey, we're not only with our public employees and our civil servants, but we're also with union representation and collective bargaining. So just a rogue thought I've had, Alderman Vaccaro, this is your resolution. I will defer to you on it. But if we're taking it back to the Word doc, I thought maybe just a friendly amendment there.
Well, I don't see this as my resolution. I see this as our resolution. I think when it's all said and done, I think everybody will most likely sign on to it. I don't know that. So I'm fine with however the committee feels, the best way. And you always want to do the best resolution possible, even though I don't know how much merit they have. But I agree. I mean, whatever Alderwoman Davis brought up real good points. I think we want to put our best foot forward. And I've never claimed to be a brilliant legislator. I'm more of a street fighter, and so I'm amenable to whatever everybody wants to do. To make changes to this, to make it the best possible resolution we can get out of committee. Okay, and I'm clear on that.
Excellent. Well, for what it's worth, that will not be my deciding factor with this resolution, the additional whereas. I would like to see it, and I know that I would support that. But again, I want to reiterate my appreciation that not only are you willing to work on this, but that you view it not as your resolution, but as a resolution by the board. And I do think resolutions matter. if I didn't, then why have I introduced so many this session? But I have to believe it. I'm right. How else would I sleep at night? So I appreciate your work on this and your malleability, your flexibility in it. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, man. I kind of feel like I got the best little committee out here. Just saying. No, today was really good, guys. I think, and women, everybody, I think this is a great discussion, the start of a great discussion, and the start of us getting some great things done for the city employees here. Just for those that are out there watching, mayor's office, anybody else, this is not an attack on anyone. What we're trying to do is make sure that our employees of the city get the proper representation and conversations get started. There's a lot going on with this new administration. New people are coming in and going. So there's a lot happening throughout the city of St. Louis. And it all takes us all a little bit, not just of a push, but sometimes we have to bring things to each other's attention and kind of slow down and say, hey, this is kind of a focus for everybody. Let's figure out how to move this particular thing forward. So we're always all over the place as a board, so as the other administrations, and that's our job to have that balance of power. But when we agree on something and we all agree that our employees are being underpaid and underrepresented to some degree, then, that is something that we can stand firm in with every administration and the different departments and say, hey, this is a focus of the city. So this direction that this committee is going in, which I'm very happy that this direction we're going in, and looking forward to that next meeting that we have and having the interim director there and us asking all those hard questions that we've been trying to get answers to for some time. So we'll have the meeting next week. I'll reach out to the interim director today to find out what times work best with them next week. Give them a few dates and times and get that back to the committee and make sure that we can have that meeting, having conversations with the clerk, make sure that date works out. And hopefully within the meantime, Alderman Steffens and anybody else, Alderwoman Spencer, Alderwoman Davis, folks who wants to work on crafting this legislation or the resolution in general, we can have that worked out by next week. Any questions that you may have for the interim director, try to get those written down so we can have us a nice productive meeting next week. So with that being said, we'll hold resolution 189 until next week. So we can strengthen it up and get everybody to the place where we know we like it to be, and we know for sure it can be effective in its meaning and intent. Alderman Vaccaro, do you have anything else to add? Are there any other committee members that like to add anything?
I know Alderwoman Davis had her hand up, but thank you. And I would say if those that want to make the changes, please work together to make them, because your input's going to be, because anything you would send to me, I'd have to go to Lou because he would write it for me. And we got some talented people here. So let's, if you have changes, let's get it together. And then the other thing, I guess I would caution some of the newer folks, when the head of whatever personnel comes in, we can't do anything, and we can encourage them to do their job. We can't use any political influence to push them to pay more or do more. That is like a big, bad no. But we can encourage them to do their job and support our employees. We can't say we think this person or that person should get paid. At least I believe that's the case. And so anyway, but no, I'm cool with that, and I look forward to this.
Likewise, look forward to having those discussions. Do we have any other announcements? Anybody want to say anything? All right, I'd like to excuse the Alderman from the 7th for necessary reasons. All right, with that, do I need to take a vote on it? Okay, all right, just wanted to be clear, do it right. All right, with that, I take a motion on adjournment. I move that we adjourn the March 3rd Public Employees Committee into further notice.
Second.
Any objection? All right, we hereby are adjourned. Everybody be safe. See y'all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.